All right, good afternoon. My name is Mike Ritzema. I'm joined by Chris Smith for our webinar today. CRM shouldn't suck, avoiding CRM pitfalls using strategies for success. The book, which I've read and Chris wrote, he is the author of the book. He's got over 20 years experience, not only with CRM, but also going into ERP. He's the founder and principal of Impeller CRM. And he's a host of the Sales Lead Dog podcast with over 200 episodes. Hunt that down. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again. So I always start with when we talk about business, we talk about technology solutions. What are executives, managers, owners interested in? And I maintain four things: profitability or sustainability. We have to pay the bills. And so therefore we must watch the profitability, the cash flow. Productivity, which is efficiency. This is where tools and technology come in. The only reason I buy technology software tools is to improve the efficiency, the productivity of my organization. And today it's all AI, right? All the buzzword. But AI is nothing more than another tool to automate. Can we automate manual tasks, which I think Chris will be talking about today. And then certainly innovation. How am I different from my competitor? And lastly, risk and security, financial, physical, and technological risk, which is a world we live in at i3, protecting organizations from technological cybersecurity risk. Really, the four come down to two things. We have conversations about cybersecurity, protecting your data, your information, your assets, and secondly, productivity or efficiency, which is what we're talking about today, is CRM. What is CRM? Well, I think we all know it is customer relationship management. It is Chris's passion for 20 years. And so, Chris, I'll turn it over to you for CRM and your passion here.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so CRM is really evolving. When we think about CRM, if you even mention CRM, a lot of times people have a negative reaction to that acronym, an emotional reaction to that acronym. And that's why I wrote the book. Honestly, that was a big reason why we wrote the book. Is we do a lot of rescues. And it got about 3 years ago, I pulled my team together. I'm like, why is this still happening? Why are so many companies still struggling with CRM? And there's a lot of reasons, but it boils down to a lot of core themes, or like a handful of core themes, which we have here on the slide. That, like, for example, I was interviewing a guest on my podcast on the show. He said, yeah, we're going to start our process to implement a new CRM. That's fantastic. I asked him, what is your definition of success for your CRM? And he was a deer in the headlights. He had no idea. And he was very honest. He's like, Chris, I don't know. That's a wonderful question. I need to figure that out. And he does. Anyone who's launching on their CRM journey, who's in their CRM journey, if you don't know what those outcomes are that you're seeking, what is going to truly help your business, it's going to be hard to know what CRM I should be using, how I need to integrate to my business. There's so many questions that you can't answer. So you have to begin with the end in mind of what does success look like. And I get asked this next part, who should own CRM? My answer is, it's a complex question, but I can tell you who doesn't own CRM, and that's IT. IT owns your infrastructure. They need to make sure CRM's available and it's accessible and it, all of that. Business owns CRM, and because they're the ones that ultimately need to drive those outcomes when it comes to CRM. And when it comes to like poor adoption, bad data, weak ownership, all of that, the fundamental there is bad data. And typically the reason why CRM and the data in CRM is lacking is because there's no ownership defined of who owns the data in CRM. Without accountability, you can't have quality. You're not going to get one without the other. And so you have to have ownership to have accountability. And so um, when it comes to, data, other than the people in your organization, your data is probably your next most valuable asset. Um, but it's not treated that way. And that's why so many CRMs fail, is because their data foundation should be the granite bedrock that CRM is built on, and that's so often not the case. And one of the core reasons why CRMs fail. Um, and then this last one on here, CRM for so many companies, it's a system we tolerate, but we don't really trust it to help me do what I need to do in my role. I'll give you an example, Mike. I was at a conference talking to a VP of sales of a company, $1 billion global organization, very large organization all around the world. And I asked him, I'm like, how, how are you managing your pipeline? And he's like, Chris, I'll show you. Pulled out his phone, pulled up an Excel spreadsheet, said, this is my pipeline. It's like our CRM sucks so bad. I have to manage our pipeline. We use Excel. Can't trust what's in CRM. This is $1 billion company. And I'm sharing that story to let people know, like, doesn't matter what size organization you are, everyone's sharing a lot of these same common problems.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Exactly. And I am not the poster child for execution on CRM or projects, but I do know relative to data, and I think you're going to get further into that. But we used a marketing consultant by the name of Robin Robbins, and she has the 10 commandments of marketing, and the number one commandment, thou shalt have a highly targeted list.
Yes.
And good data.
Yes.
But I'm the wrong guy for culling the data. So we did the first mailer, and we mailed out $1 bills. And I got a call from my brother up north, and he says, Mike, thank you for the dollar. I bought a candy bar from a student with it. And I thought to myself, okay, we have to clean up this list. I'm sending money to my relatives who are not going to buy from me. So yes, have quality data.
Yeah, and it's going beyond making sure that it's accurate and it's complete. It needs to be structured so it's ready to eat. So like you mentioned marketing. Marketing is a customer of the data in CRM. And so when I look at my account data, my customer data, do I have a clear profile of that customer? Meaning, I don't, the address, the people, that's great. That's table stakes. I want to know, what products have they purchased from us? What products are we targeting them for? Products or services? When we look at the people attached to that record, do we have personas attached to them? We've got their job title, hopefully, but that's not enough. We need their persona. Are they a decision maker? Are they, are they in sales? Are they in marketing? Are they in operations? Whatever those persona attributes that are relevant for you, that needs to be attached in your CRM so it's consumable. Okay.
Yeah.
Not only for your people, but also we've got AI we want to layer in on this stuff. Everyone's heard the adage, garbage in, garbage out. With AI, it's going to be garbage in, garbage out a whole lot faster.
Yeah.
And so it's all this stuff is connected and incredibly important.
You bet. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Wow, you mentioned rescues. You're not talking about rescue dogs. You're talking about rescuing CRM implementations, huh?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And our very first project at Impeller was a rescue. I didn't know it at the time that it was a rescue, but I very quickly realized, this is a mess. They didn't have the data. Nothing was connected. Nothing was integrated. It wasn't aligned with what the business needed in terms of the outcomes the business was looking for. It was just like a database just kind of sitting there. And a lot of times, we'll get phone calls where like, hey, we want to talk to you about a new CRM. We need to get a new CRM. And so I'll ask, why? What's the reason behind this? And I get a variety of reasons. I've had one guy say, our sales process is so broken. I just need a new CRM to fix it. CRM will not fix bad process.
No.
Okay. And that's an example where the software is not the real problem. A lot of times we do an engagement with our clients that we call the execution success roadmap, where we go end to end through their business to understand, what's really going on, what are the real problems, the barriers to execution against their strategic goals. And we do it based upon the six foundational elements of a successful implementation of CRM that I describe in the book. And the reality is software's not really the problem most of the time.
Yeah.
It's data, it's business processes. Sometimes CRM is the problem. It's labeled as the problem, but it's because it wasn't implemented in a way that connected it to the business, didn't connect to the outcomes it was supposed to deliver. There's a lot of people out there implementing CRM that are experts in the technology of CRM, but they have no idea how to connect CRM to the business, and that's why they fail. And so that next line in there, it's about strategy, process, people, and data. And that's what we have to look at. Are your business processes documented? Are we training people to process? Are there workarounds? One of the questions I love to ask when we engage with a client is, tell me about all the spreadsheets, the Microsoft Access databases you're using to run your business.
Yeah.
I had a conversation a few weeks ago with a client. They have 37 Access databases that they're using to run their business. Very successful business, but they've hit a wall. They can't go any further. And they recognize that. But that's the reality for so many businesses today, Mike.
Well, that's, when you and I came out of similar background, and for me, ERP, manufacturing and distribution software, implementation and sales, and I3 business solutions, intelligent information integration. I rail against islands of information.
Yes.
Can we find a way to have a single source of truth? And 37 or whatever you said, access databases is not the answer to that. How do we integrate the information?
Yeah. So I was talking to their sales leader. He's going, Chris, I had to prepare for a key, absolutely critical client meeting. He had to spend 3 hours cobbling together information from all these disparate data sources. And he knew, I did the best I could, but I know it was incomplete. There's probably data in there that's wrong, but it's the best I had. And so I asked him, how many times a week does that happen? He's like, Chris, it's constant. And so I'm like, what impact would that have on your business if we're able to create that single source of truth that you just mentioned, Mike? He's going, it would transform how we're able to operate. Think about all the time you get back because of all these workarounds, these spreadsheets, these disconnected databases or data sources, whatever you want to call it. There's a cost to all of that, a real cost to your business, to every one of those.
Indeed.
So we try to shift the conversation. People, when they call us, they want to talk, let's talk CRM. And that happened with a global electronics component manufacturer. Their VP of global operations reached out to me. I did the first call with her and their VP of global sales. This is a company that if you have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or iPhones, they manufacture components for all of these major brands, right? Global company, global operations, and their CRM was a mess. And so can you help us fix your CRM? And so I'm like, we need to take a step back, because when CRM is done correctly, it's actually a business strategy. It's an element of your business strategy. It's not just technology. You have to treat it that way, okay? So we have to begin with those business outcomes. What are we truly trying to do to move the needle for the business? What are our strategic goals over the next 3 to 5 years? That's what we need to anchor everything we're doing with this technology. It has to be anchored in that. Because that's why we're investing in it, right? We're not investing in it because we love CRM or we love technology. It's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool that's intended to give us a specific outcome. And so that also connects to what winning looks like, right? If we're connecting it to our strategic goals, that's really helping us define a really clear vision of success. And it also establishes natural guardrails. So when people are coming to us during the engagement saying, "Hey, could we do this? Have CRM do this?" We're like, "Great. What strategic goal is that driving? What is that connected to?" That's the why behind why we're going to implement that, right? If we can't figure out that why, then we defer it. We're not going to say no, but we defer it for a future phase. It's not important enough to do it right now. We want to focus on those things that we know are going to drive execution on the strategic goals. And that's where that last line, chasing features, we call it the idea fairy, where they're just popping off all these great ideas. And I'm sure they are great ideas. But if they're not driving the outcomes we need, they're diverting us. Or, everyone has limited resources, time, budget, everything. We have to focus on the stuff that's most important. And so it's about, we preach MVP, minimal viable product. Get live with the right CRM as quickly as you can.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
because you get a different level of clarity when you're live and using it than when you're at a whiteboard drawing pictures and talking about it.
Yeah, and so I think HubSpot is an extension of CRM to the web and enables all kinds of amazing capabilities. Number one, start with business outcomes. And we all personally at home have monthly fees we're paying, and at some point it's like, that one's going away and that one's going away. What's the value to this household? Same in business, right? We're
Yes.
paying fees for so many things. And a number of years ago, we did buy HubSpot, but we did not properly implement it. And secondly, it wasn't well integrated to our ERP system. And so eventually I looked at the monthly cost and said, we're unplugging this thing. And we did exactly that. We went to a minimally viable solution that is fully integrated to our ERP system. It's not perfect. It's improving as we move along, but much more reasonably priced, a better fit for this organization and doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, perfection is the enemy of action. Like when we're talking CRM, it's not about finding the perfect CRM. It's focusing on what will move us forward as an organization, but it also has to be part of your ecosystem, your technology ecosystem. It has to fit, it has to connect. We can't have another data silo. I was on a call with a group of chief revenue officers, do a monthly call, and I was invited to listen in. And one of these guys, hey, I'm new at this organization. They've got a CRM that on paper looks great. It's got all these great features, but it has no API. It has no ability to connect to anything else in our business.
Yeah.
So it's this 1,000-pound anchor sitting in the corner that, that he has to drag behind him because it doesn't connect to anything. Yeah. So that's where they're focusing on the features like, oh, it looks so cool and it does all these cool things. But if it can't connect to the rest of the business, it has zero value.
Yeah. Beautiful. Integration.
So I love this title. Absolutely love this title. Adoption is earned. You can't expect users to just like, hey, I made this investment, use it. Okay. You can do that. You can give them the mandate. But the reality is they'll use it, but they're only going to use it the minimum amount they absolutely have to use it to avoid getting any negative attention. Okay. Yeah. And so you can think about the quality of the data that's going into CRM when that's their mindset. It's going to be the bare minimum. It's going to be very incomplete. It's not going to be really helping anything. Okay, so when we're thinking about AI, I'll share a story with you on this. I had a gentleman on my podcast named Drew Regan last May. He was the former VP of Enterprise Sales at Salesforce. He's now at Microsoft. And I asked him one word, why, or I said, Drew, why did you make the switch? His answer was one word, Copilot. Yeah. And he saw the writing on the wall. He's like, my day at Salesforce, I have meetings all day long. I'd have dinner with my family. Then I would spend 2 hours updating Salesforce with what I did that day. He's going, Chris, you can imagine the quality of the data I'm putting into CRM. I'm trying to remember what we talked about. I'm just getting in enough to feel that I got the basics. Um, and, but I only have, I want to do it as quickly as I can because it's late at night. I'm tired. I want to move on with my day. He said, now that I'm at Microsoft, I'm having my meeting. Most of us are virtual these days. That's the reality. But I'm getting the transcript from that meeting through Teams. As soon as my meeting's done, it's generating a summary of the email, summary of the meeting, very detailed. I'm clicking on a button to generate the follow-up email to my client with all that. I'm making some quick edits in there. It's off to everyone that attended the meeting is getting this incredible follow-up with everything we talked about. If we say in the meeting, hey, we should schedule a meeting for next week, maybe Thursday at 2:00, there's a link there to generate that follow-up in meeting invite. I'm sending that off with the detail from what we talked about and an agenda for next week. Any follow-up tasks that said, hey, I'll send you a proposal, I'll do this, I'll do that, or it's listening to the transcript and identify who said what, and it's giving you the task. I'm clicking create. That's all going into my CRM. Now all that incredible content, everything I need is going into CRM, and I'm on to my next meeting. So at the end of the day at 5:00, I'm going home to my family. And so there are companies that carve out Fridays where, hey, this is your day to update CRM. Or they're doing it Sunday night before Monday morning so I don't get heat from my boss. It's the reality is now I'm enabling my users. I'm giving them more time back in the day. That's driving adoption.
I mean,
that's giving them value.
Exactly. And if CRM is a tool that feels like extra admin work, they're going to work around it.
That's
right. So, I mean, the parallel to AI is a tool as we choose to use it to improve productivity and do less admin work. I mean, finding that combination is what we're trying to do in business, is go faster using tools, a tool being CRM, a tool being AI.
Yep. So the other elements on this slide are very important. Training has to be based in process and reality, not in features. Leadership has to use it and they have to talk about it. It has to be ingrained in, where they're pulling up CRM to talk about what's going on in CRM. All that stuff's important, but fundamentally it has to be a tool that people want to use because I know it helps me.
Here. More back to data. Yeah.
I could talk about this all day, this one topic. I won't. But it is, I've said it before, it's the granite you're building everything else on. That granite foundation is your data, okay? Bad data just destroys everything, okay? And we see it all the time. But it's one of the first things we start with whenever we're engaging with a client is, even if it's a new CRM, they've never had CRM before, we're getting CRM from their accounting, their finance system, from other sources. It's usually bad. And that is a cost to your business because it slows everybody down. Time is money, right, Mike? And if you can't have clean data, stop all the other stuff you're doing, that isn't as important as this, and get this fixed.
Chris, I am a CRM user going back to the days of ACT, a one person load it on your PC, use it. And so I've been pro CRM for years, and we use the integrated CRM system here at i3. And I mentioned the campaign where I sent a dollar bill to my brother. But also in that same campaign, because we have the data, we sent a dollar bill to a local company here, and the phone rang within a day or two. And the guy said, I've got a dollar bill on my desk here, and could you stop in here? And I stopped in, we had a meeting, and within 2 weeks he was a customer.
Yeah.
I mean, we had that information, we weren't using it, and we started to use it. So over the years, we've improved the data. It's not perfect, we're improving it. And today I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago. I had been in there 12 years ago, and the information was in the system.
Yeah,
So our data isn't perfect, but certainly there's history, and we're
yeah.
continually improving it.
It's not, we don't need it to be perfect. We need it to be as close, as accurate as we can make it, as complete as we can make it. But if we spend all our time trying to make it perfect, we're not out there selling. We're not
Yeah.
servicing our customers. The goal isn't perfect data. It's data that can help us drive action.
Yes, indeed. Use. We need a CRM system we can actually use. That's
Exactly, 100%. And so success for me, when people ask me this question, CRM should be the central hub of your business because customers should be the central focus of your business, right? And so CRM needs to be in the middle of it. It needs to be connecting everything else that's going on in your business. And honestly, we work in a lot of industries, and I've yet to come across one where this truth didn't hold. Um, it transform your business, your operations, everything when you make CRM the central hub. And there's not a better platform to drive operations in an organization, especially with the technology and that's available in a lot of the CRMs today, to drive workflow, to unify operations. It's not just for sales. It's not just for marketing. You can extend this out to all elements of your business. It's not going to replace ERP, the finance systems, things like that. We don't want it to. We just want it to connect to those and integrate with those so you have seamless flow of information. So that is my definition of success for CRM.
Yeah, and certainly in business to business world, in a virtual world where more and more of life is digital, including texting and online communication, automated systems.
Yeah.
When we can leverage a CRM system to improve relationships, customer relationships, that's powerful.
Yep, it really is.
All right. Well, coming down the home stretch here,
Yep.
you have a book you've offered to give away. Thank you very much. We're going to do a drawing for that, except you said if you're listening to this podcast webinar, then scan the QR code or go to the website crmshouldn'tsuck.com and request the book.
Yeah, we will give it away to everyone that watches this. I want to help as many people as I can unsuck their CRM.
That's great.
And that was why I wrote the book. I've been very blessed and very fortunate in my career and in my journey with Impeller CRM. Got an incredible team. I've met incredible people. And so when I wrote the book, people are like, well, you're going to sell the book? And I'm like, yeah, it's on Amazon and we sell the book on Amazon. But if I'm giving it away to people that are attending this, then I'm helping more people.
That's
and
great.
So please go to the site, order a free copy. We also have something on there that we call the CRM Impact Score that we created again to help people. It's not a marketing tool for us. If you go through the tool, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about your CRM and your business. And then the output is a very detailed report, a PDF that ultimately gives you a score in a bunch of different areas, the 6 functional areas that I write about in the book on the state of how CRM is impacting your business. And so we want it to be a tool for people to help them on their journey to unsuck their CRM. So please take advantage of it.
It's a beautiful mission. Beautiful mission. As we wrap up, I say, what's the action item? And certainly CRM must be an executive priority. If the executive team, the management team is not promoting it, using it, like you say, Chris, it's a problem. Decide on what your strategy is. If you're going to implement CRM, make sure you know exactly what the strategy is. Point number 4, what the business results, the outcome is. And then train your users, for crying out loud, and hold accountable and force the use of the CRM to improve the organization. Any closing thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, my core message is get started. Every day you wait to unsuck your CRM or implement a new CRM if you don't have one that enables your organization. get started now, because every day you're waiting, it's costing you money. It's costing you time. It's impacting your customers. And that's our goal with this, is to help you impact all of those areas so that you're getting those outcomes you envisioned for your business when you started on that journey.
I love that. Get her done. Get her done.
Get her done.
All righty. Well, thanks for
Mike.
joining us, Chris.
Thank you, Mike.
Sarah?
Yes. I had a question in the chat, if you guys have a second.
Yeah,
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. So what are some key indicators that we should look at to see how poorly the CRM is broken from it helping to enable us? I fear that there is the parallel for the frog in the water, slowly warming and not being aware of how bad it is.
I love that. That's probably pretty accurate. Start by auditing, finding out how many spreadsheets are being used in the organization. I want a list of every spreadsheet people are using to perform their job. Okay. Every one of those is a workaround because CRM and your other core technology is not supporting your processes. And every one of those is a cost. It's a barrier to driving execution and growth because it's not part of that single source of truth. So that's where we always love to start when we're working with a client, is we call it slaying the spreadsheets. The goal is we want to bring every one of those into CRM and connect them to the organization. Because you think about a spreadsheet, that's one person can use a spreadsheet. Maybe a small number can use a spreadsheet if it's shared. But that's not helping the organization. So I would start there. I would also do, go to the site and take the CRM impact score, have everyone that you can get in your organization fill out the CRM impact scores and share them. And that's why we designed that, is to help you figure out in a strip the emotion away and make it about the reality of the numbers, the results in that report, to help you truly get that view of how CRM is it really aligned in driving our business, or is it slowing us down? Is it actually impacting us negatively? That's a wonderful question. Thank you.
That's a good question. And the journey of business is from people excellence to include process excellence. We buy software to automate process to benefit the whole organization. And when you have multiple spreadsheets, you're really saying the software, the way I'm using the software, the CRM, has holes in it. Therefore, I jump outside the process. But if we can actually, utilize software or CRM that flows cleanly, and I don't need spreadsheets, well, that's a powerful place to be, right?
Exactly. And I took a training class at MIT Sloan School of Business several years ago where they talked about this, about, it was about designing optimal business processes. And so they talk about, you design this process on paper and it looks great on paper, but then reality sets in, the reality of every day, all these things pop up. And then you start seeing all these alternate loops on your process that, well, we didn't think about this, so we got to figure that out. So I'm going to do this, and I need a spreadsheet to do that. And I get that doing. Everyone starts doing heroic actions to keep the work flowing. And, pretty soon, if you go through and map that stuff, the actual process is completely different from what you started with. And we see that all the time. We love asking the executive team, hey, can you walk us through your process in front of the people actually do it? Not to embarrass them, but to just drive the discussion. And it inevitably happens every time when they get to a point, someone say, well, at this point we do this. And someone raises their hands like, Bob, that's not actually how we do it anymore. We do it this way. And they have no idea, because they're leaders. They're focusing on moving the big picture stuff. They're not in the weeds. So I hope that was helpful to you, Dan. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions, Sarah?
Nope, that was it.
My goodness, good stuff. I love talking, well, not technology, but business productivity.
Yep.
And certainly, Chris, you're passionate about it. So thanks for spending this time with us.
You bet. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining.